Hey, good morning and welcome to this lesson on drafting tools, their explanation and demonstration, and the basics on drawing a plan. You will be shown how to use these drafting tools today and how to complete a 3-view drawing that will show you a top view, a side view, and a front view for when you have to draw things out here in technology education. This will be used primarily when you're in the 6th grade to produce a plan or a blueprint of a miniature race car that you'll be building shortly while you're out here. My name is Mr. O, or Mr. Willette. I will be demonstrating to you the different pieces of equipment that we will be using out here when you're drafting. Drafting is a language known throughout the world. Whether you go to France or California or Africa, drafting is a language known around the world. And it's used to transmit information to whomever is going to build the item for you. In other words, a plan. You may have seen your parents or someone with a large house plan, a plan for a birdhouse, any of those types of things. People do not just show up with lumber, a big pile of lumber, at a building site and start building. Everything is all planned out before you begin, which is the same thing we do out here in Tech Ed. It's a rather simple procedure, and I'm going to demonstrate it to you today. I'm going to place a blank piece of paper here just so that you can see some of the tools a little bit better. One of the tools we're going to be using is called a T-square. And the reason it's called a T-square is because this part of it, the black part, we call this the head, forms a 90-degree angle with this other side of it right here. T-square. T-square is used for drawing horizontal lines. When we're out here in Tech Ed, we never draw lines on a plan with a ruler. Everything is done with a T-square. T-squares are designed to be used by right-handed or left-handed people. If you write or draw with your right hand, the black part of the T-square will be going on the left-hand side of your drawing board. If you draw with your left hand or write with your left hand, the black part of the T-square will go on the right-hand side of your board. A drawing board is this wooden board that I have my paper on right now. It is simply a piece of wood with 2 metal edges on each end that allows our paper or our plan to be taped onto and to guide our tools. There are 2 metal edges on the drawing board, and you'll see this once you get out the drawing tools. Another tool that we use out here is called the stainless steel ruler. It is a very accurate tool. It's divided into eighths at the very top. There, in the 1 inch mark, there are 8 equal squares or blocks. Okay. On the bottom of the scale or the ruler, their ruler in the 1 inch marks are divided into 16ths, giving you a finer measurement down here. So, if you're not very familiar with using a ruler, we will be working with you as you're drawing your plan. So in 1 inch you would have 8 eighths, or in a half inch you would have 4 eighths. I often think of a ruler as a pizza. You have 8 slices in a large pizza, or do you have 16 slices in a large pizza? Which one's going to give you a finer measurement, the 16ths or the eighths? Of course it's going to be the 16ths. This is not an item that you would take and hit your friend with on the end of the nose or tap them with it. It is stainless steel. It can be very sharp, and you can cut yourself with this if you're not careful. Okay? These will all be hanging over by our pencil sharpener in the Tech Ed lab on Mr. Gangler, on Mr. Willette's side. And we will show you that area where everything is stored. Everything is hung up so we can find it, and it protects the items. So this is the stainless steel ruler. Another item that you may have seen before, some people call it a half moon. The proper name for it is a protractor. And this is used to measure angles or help to draw angles. You'll notice there are little lines, degrees, we call these degrees. There are 180 degrees on a half circle, meaning in a circle there are 360 degrees. So a right angle would have 90 degrees from here all the way to here. We will use this a little bit later, but our major objective right now is for you to know that this is a protractor, and it's used for measuring degrees or angles. Another item, one of two that we will be using, is a triangle. A triangle is used for drawing either 90-degree angles, or it can be used for drawing angles of other shapes. This one happens to be a 30-60 degree triangle. You may use this one, or you may use the next one that I am going to show you. This is what we call a 45-degree triangle, because this angle right here and here is a 45-degree angle. This is 90 degrees on this side, and we use this for drawing vertical lines on our drawing. So this is a 45-degree triangle. You may use either one of these when you're drawing your designs. Our last tool is called a French curve. Yes, the word French. French curve, or an irregular curve. It's used for drawing different shapes that you normally could not draw with your other tools, such as your triangle, T-squares, and things of that nature. Some people think that it kind of looks like a sleigh, and I suppose it does. Our next tool is called a compass. A compass. It is not like a compass that you would use if you were going hunting in the woods so that you wouldn't get lost. This is a very expensive compass. It's made out of stainless steel. It's usually made in Germany. I do not have very many of these. I only have 5 or 6 to go around, so we have to share them. This wheel in the center, right here, is called a thumb wheel. And if you use your thumb to make this larger or smaller by spinning it one way or the other, it moves the 2 points here and here wider or smaller. So as you can see, we have a metal point here that usually is the center point of your circle, and we have a lead point over here. At any time, if one of these points moves or the lead is broken or whatever, please do not try to fix it. Bring it to myself or Mr. Gangler, and we will repair it for you. Many people at your age struggle with using a compass, and the key to that is how you operate this. You need to hold the compass by the end like so, just like you would a pencil. If I was holding my pencil and you want to be able to twist like that. So if I want to draw a circle, I would I would just twist it and go in the direction I'd like to go. Now, we have the center point of the compass right there. The distance from the center point over to this side of the circle is called a what? Can any of you tell me? I believe I heard it correctly, and it is called the radius. R-A-D-I-U-S. Radius. That is half the distance from the center to the outside of the circle. So if I had a 2-inch circle, the radius of my circle would be 1 inch. Now, if I take and I put an X right here on the outside of that circle, and I draw a line through the center point and through the other side, and I make another little X here, can any of you out there tell me what the distance from this X through the center point to the other X is? And I'll give you a minute to think about it. Do you think you know what the answer is? It's called diameter. D-I-A, diameter. We're going to abbreviate it, and we're going to put D-I-A period. So whenever you see D-I-A period, that's the abbreviation for diameter. That is the distance from one side of the circle to the other side. So if I told you I wanted a 4-inch diameter circle, you would know that the distance from this side through the center point to this side is 4 inches. If I asked you what the radius of that 4-inch circle is, you could tell me it was 2 inches. Now, here's a little trivia question for you. Here we are. Imagine this circle is the Earth. We are in Caribou, Maine right here. If we take a string, imaginary string, and we walk all the way around the earth, we come back all the way around to our starting point at Caribou. Can anybody tell me what that distance is around that circle, around that earth? It's called circumference. Circumference. The distance around the outside of the circle, circumference. Something else that you're going to be needing is going to be a number 2 pencil with a good eraser, because we are going to make mistakes. We're all here to learn, and yes, no one is perfect, even me. And we're also going to be needing masking tape. Masking tape is basically paper with a little glue on it, and we need masking tape. Now I have a masking tape dispenser on my desk, or sometimes I have a roll like this that's loose. If you have a roll, what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of tape about the length of your index finger, that is this one here, and you're going to rip it off. And you're going to divide that piece of tape into 4 equal parts. And we're going to place that on the edge of our drawing board. Now, for the drafting lesson, what we're going to do next, everyone should have received one of these drawing sheets. Should be in your notebook. Hopefully you have your name on it. If not, you need to make sure your name is on it today when we get done. I'm going to show you today how to correctly use the drawing tools to draw your card design. Now every day you come out here, you're going to have to get these tools. You're going to have to get a drawing board, a triangle, a stainless steel ruler, and some masking tape. You do not necessarily need to get a French curve, only if you need it, and you only get the compass when you need those. As I said, there's only 4 or 5 of them, and we have to share them. Generally, they're found on my desk. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure that this tool, the T-square, is placed on the side of my drawing board. And I know you can't see that right now, but I'm going to place the T-square, and I'm going to push the black part of it tightly against the side. Now each day you come out here, we've got to be able to put this paper on here correctly. So what I need to do, I've got my T-square, I'm pushing my T-square tightly against the metal edge of my drawing board, and if you notice down here we have a dotted line, okay, all the way across. We've got to line up that dotted line with the clear edge of the T-square. Doesn't matter if you use the bottom edge or the top edge, as long as it's perfectly aligned. Okay. Now looking down on this, you'll see that this is touching on the dotted line here, but it's not touching on the dotted line here, is it? So that means we've got to move the paper until it's correct. Once you have it where it needs to be, you're going to place a piece of masking tape on each corner, making sure it's pushed down really good so that your design stays stuck to the board. Now we're all about quality out here. Safety and quality are things you hear very often. So we're not in a hurry to make a drawing, we're here to make a quality drawing. So neatness counts. So I've put my 4 pieces of tape on. I'm going to check my drawing, make sure it's perfectly lined up here, all the way across, and to here, and it is. So now the next thing I need to do is I need to label my drawing. So I'm going to use a black permanent marker so that you can see it better on this presentation. So I'm going to put my name, Mr. Willett. This is period 1, grade 6. I've never made it out of the 6th grade. Today's date, for practical purposes, is the date that you're starting your drawing, but I'm going to write my date in here, 4/24/15. And we're doing a drawing called the Formula 500. Okay? Now, should your drawing fall out of your notebook, I can find whose it is and get it back to you so you don't have to start all over again. So there are 3 views on this drawing. We have what's called a side view, a top view, and a front view. So if I was going to, I'm going to use this calculator as an example. Side view, if you were looking straight down on here, this would be the side view of your calculator. If you were looking at the top view, the drawing of your calculator would look like this, looking straight down on top of the calculator. And if we were looking at the front view of the calculator, we would now be looking at something like this, which is basically what we're going to do with our little car. We're going to show on the drawing what the side view of our car looks like. We're going to make it very simplistic. In other words, not too hard, because you know you have to build this. And this is your first attempt on using drawing tools, so we don't want to make it too hard. Then we're going to draw the top view, and then we're going to draw our front view. So bear with me. Again, I'm going to use a permanent marker to do this today so that you guys can see it better on our video. So we always begin with the bottom line right here. That's always the bottom of our car. So I'm going to use as much of this block of wood. These dotted lines are the imaginary size of the whole block of wood. So the block of wood you're going to get is going to be the size of these dotted lines. So I'm going to place my T-square, and I'm going to draw the bottom of my car. Here's the bottom of my car. Now, using my T-square and triangle, making sure that the T-square is always, the head of my T-square is always tight against the edge of my drawing board, I'm going to place my triangle together, laying it on the top edge of this, and you notice that right here the line lines up perfectly. I'm going to use this to draw the back of my car. I'm going to draw a line going across. It'll be part of the top of my car. Now, using my triangle again, I'm going to draw something of line of this nature. I'm trying to make something that is aerodynamic. And I think I'm going to draw a line like that. And then I'm just going to connect these two Now the word aerodynamic might mean something different to some of you, but generally think of something that's aerodynamic: an airplane, a bird, a fast race car. So aerodynamic is a word that says that something is drawn or built in such a way that the air is able to pass over it with less friction. It means the car will go faster. It will require less energy. So there's the front of my car, so the wind would go over the car like so. So we now have what the side view or the side shape of my car is going to look like. The next thing we got to do is we've got to draw some wheels on this car. Now you're going to be making your wheels using the injection molder on Mr. Gangler's side. You may have up to 6 wheels and as little as 3. It's up to you to decide. Our wheels are going to be 1 inch in diameter. So that means we've got to set our compass to what size? Well, if you remember when we first started, a 1 inch wheel, that means that's going to be the diameter, that's the distance across it. A compass needs to be set to 1/2 of that distance. So if I put that on the 1/2 inch mark and I close up, to 1/2 inch, that should give us a 1 inch wheel. Now on our drawing here we have a little spot here where you can actually practice this and check it. So I'm going to make sure the point goes in. I'm going to lightly draw a wheel. I'm then going to check it with my ruler. And it's just a little bit large. So I'm going to readjust my compass. We should be good. Now, on the side view, you'll notice there is a fine dotted line. That line is designed for you to draw your wheels on. Okay? That's where the center point of your compass is going to go. Doesn't matter where, as long as it's exactly on that line. So my car is going to have 4 wheels on it. So how many wheels am I going to draw on the side view? Did I hear 2? 2 is the correct answer. So I'm going to stick one here and I'm going to draw that. There's 1 wheel. And I'm going to choose another point right here. Again, I'm using the same line as the center point. There's wheel number 2. That's a completed side view. Fairly simple. We don't have any designs, we don't have any flames, any numbers. We just want the basic shape or the profile of the car. The next view we're going to move on to is our top view. Your top view and your side view, everything lines up. So, again, using your T-square, that T-square is very valuable. I'm going to start by lining up this line right here, this black line on the side view. And I'm going to draw that same line right here on the top view. As I move my triangle across, wherever that car changes shape, right here, that top of that car changes shape, I'm going to draw another line. I'm again going to draw another shape, another line here. This is where it changes shape again. And here as well. And finally, the very end of the car, which is right there. I'm now going to connect this back line to the front line using the T-square. Doesn't matter if I use the bottom of the T-square or the top. I generally use the bottom because it's a little closer to me when I'm sitting down drawing and I can see a little bit better. You can use whatever you'd like. So now, this part from here to here is represented in this drawing by this. This long sloping area down to here is this part here. This part going across, this short part like the hood, if it was the hood of a car, would be this piece here. And this little short sloping area, the very front, like the grill area, the radiator area, would be this little area here. For some of you this is confusing. For some of you it will come natural. As we continue to add things to the drawing, it may clear itself up a little. Now, on our top view, how many wheels do we have to have on our top view? Remember, we said we were drawing 4 wheels on our car. How many wheels show on our top view? Did I hear 4? 4 is the correct answer. So, again, using our T-square and our triangle, I'm going to put the point of my pencil on the edge of that wheel. I'm going to draw a line here and here that's going to represent the back of that back wheel. Going over to the next part of the wheel, the front of that back wheel, I'm going to draw another line there and there. Notice I'm doing it in pencil. I'm doing it fairly light because you may need to erase some of this. I'm going to move to my next wheel. I'm going to draw my next line. That's the back of that front wheel. And lastly, we're going to go to the front of that wheel, there and there. So now we have starting points for all of the wheels. And if we measure this, and our measurements were pretty accurate, we should have a wheel that's just about 1 inch long. Remember, it's 1 inch in diameter. Now the thickness of our wheel, or the width of our wheel, is only 1/4 of an inch. So using our ruler, using the top part that has the 8 divided areas, this is going to be 2 spaces. There's 1, there's 2, that's going to be the width of my wheel right there, 1/4 of an inch. Do I have to mark it here also? No, because remember, our T-square will draw a line horizontally across. We do have to measure the top. And now we're going to simply take our T-square and we're going to connect those lines, top and bottom. Like so. So if you have a good eraser now, carefully you're going to erase these little extra bit of line, because we are after neat drawings. Remember, neat and safety, 2 big things out here. So we now have a car that has 4 wheels. Not too bad so far. We now have one more view to complete, our front view. And I often tell the students, make believe or imagine that this car is driving towards you. What would you see? Well, let's do the obvious things. We know this black line on the bottom is our bottom of our car. So let's do the obvious stuff. Let's draw the bottom of our car right here. Like so. As we work our way up the drawing to here, we're going to draw another line going across. And as we go all the way up, that's the top of our car right here, we're going to draw one more line. And the last thing, we're going to connect the top and the bottom lines. So this is the shape that we're going to have. This part right here is actually the front of this car, the grille. Okay? And this part right here is actually this long sloping area that you see here. So how many wheels are we going to have on our front view? I heard somebody say 2. That's correct. So to draw the 2 wheels, we're going to place our pencil on the top of our wheel. We're just going to draw a little small line on the top. That's going to be where our wheel begins. Then we're going to go to the bottom of our wheel. And again, we're going to draw a light pencil line. You can always go back and darken it later. That is the bottom or the reference point of your rear wheel, of your wheels. We only have 2 wheels showing because they line up perfectly, front and rear. So now we're going to draw the inside part of the wheel. And we're going to draw the other inside part of the wheel. And then we've got to measure with our ruler. Remember, 1/4 of an inch. 2 spaces on the ruler. 1, 2. Now I've got to draw a little line here. And I've got to draw a little line here. So now we have 2 wheels showing up, and that's our front view. So could I take this drawing and give it to somebody else? Could I mail this to the kids in the Presque Isle Middle School and tell them I wanted 50 of these built? No, I could not. What is missing on this drawing? The kind of wood we're going to use to make this? No. What color we want to paint it? No. Let me ask you all this question. If I was to give each and every one of you a $100 bill and say, this weekend I want you to go to the mall or to Walmart and buy me a pair of sneakers, could you do that for me? Do you have all the information that you need? Do you know what size shoe I wear? Do you know how wide my foot is? Do you know what color I'd like them? Do you know what brand? Most importantly, do you know what size? Ah, I see a few light bulbs lighting up. So we need to have some measurements on this drawing to tell somebody how large, how long, how tall, how wide it is. And we call that dimensions or dimensioning. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a dimension. I want to tell everybody how long my car is. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take your triangle and T-square together, and then we want to measure from this point down to this point. I'm going to draw a little line that does not touch the car. We call that an extension line. I'm going to draw another line on the other end, like so. Another extension line. Remember, it does not touch the car. I'm now going to take my T-square, and I'm going to draw a line going across, but I'm going to leave a little space in the middle. That space is going to be for the measurement. Okay? Now, we do have to put some arrows, or we call these arrowheads, something nice and neat, like so. Those arrowheads say that I'm measuring from this to this. So we need to find out how long is this. Looking at the ruler, it says 6 inches long if you use up the whole block. So I'm going to write the number 6. And how am I going to tell them what size it is? Some of you say write IN. That's not the correct way to do it. Some say put a little circle. No, that's not correct either. That's 6, that's degrees, like in a protractor, or degrees of temperature. How about putting 2 little slash marks like that? That means 6 inches. If I had something like this, 6 with 1 slash mark and 5 with 2 slash marks, that would mean 6 feet. 1 slash mark means foot or feet. 6 foot 5 inches. That's how it is written. That's how we write a dimension. So now the people that are going to build this car know that this car is 6 inches long. We need to tell them how tall it is. So again, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to draw an extension line. I want to tell them from here to here how long it is. Extension line does not touch the car. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to draw another extension line, like so. And you always try to put your dimensions in places so they're out of the way. I'm going to take my T-square and triangle, and I'm now going to connect those extension lines. Remember? But I'm going to leave a space in the middle for the what? The measurement. But before I measure this, we're going to put an arrow on each end, meaning that we're measuring from this extension line to this extension line. And we are going to measure this, and if you used up the whole block, it's going to be 1 1/2 inches. So we write that as 1 and 1/2 with 2 lines, 1 1/2 inches. You could also write it as 1.5. That would be 1 1/2 inches, or 1.50. That's the correct decimal equivalent. Okay, what else do we have to tell somebody? We know it's 6 inches long. We know it's 1 1/2 inches tall. We need to find out how wide the car is. So we're going to put another dimension over here. Again, we're going to draw an extension line. Extension line does not touch. Right there. Another extension line here. We're going to connect them together. We're going to draw arrows. Notice my lines are straight, my arrows are neat. It's not messy looking, is it? It's what I'm expecting from each and every one of you. And if we measure this, it is 2 inches. So we're going to write 2 and like that. Okay, so we know it's 2 inches wide, 1 1/2 inches tall, 6 inches long. So if you use up the whole block of wood for your car design, and I would suggest you use up as much as you can so that you give your car as much weight as possible so it performs better on race day. These measurements will be very easy because they're all standardized. This is 2 inch, 1.5 inch, 6 inch. We have one more measurement that we have to let somebody know about. What do you think it is? Some of you are saying that we have to tell them what angle this is. We could, but we're not going to. We could tell them what the length of this here is, or the length of this here is, but we're not. We're not going to make it that hard. Remember, this is a basic drawing. What we are going to tell them is the size of the wheels. So for that, we're going to take and draw a line to one of the wheels, preferably that front one, like so. I'm going to draw an arrow at the end, like so. And how can we tell somebody what size a wheel is? Remember, the wheels are supposed to be a 1/2 inch radius. That's half of the size of the wheels. That means the wheel would be 1 inch in diameter. So I'm going to write right here 1 inch. 2 lines means inches. And we're going to put the abbreviation for diameter. Remember, it's going to be DIA period. And that is going to give us enough information to be able to get things drawn up and done. Once you have all this drawn, the top view, side view, front view, and you have all these dimensions, and by the way, there is going to be a copy of something like this on the eyeglass cabinet for you to use. Don't be afraid to go up there, measure it, look at it, and try to remember how we did this. It's not going to be easy for some of you, but everybody is able to do it. You will not be able to build your car until you get this done. That means if it takes you the entire 6 or 7 weeks out here in Tech Ed to get the drawing done, that's what you will get accomplished. Once you have that done, you're going to show it to myself or Mr. Gangler, and if it is properly done, we're going to sign it up here where it says teacher's approval. I'm going to initial it usually, like so. And I'm going to date it, meaning the date that you got this done. And you're able to go on to the next stage. Okay? The next stage would be to make a paper pattern or a template for this car design. You spent all this time making this beautiful design. Now we've got to get the shape of this car onto your block of wood. How are we going to do that? Some people might say, oh, we can take a pair of scissors and cut this out. But we don't want to do that. We want this drawing to stay in your notebook, not all cut apart. This is going to be part of your portfolio, so further on down the road when you go to high school or college, you have something to show, something to prove that you actually did this. So what we do is on Mr. Gangler's side, we have a light table. On the light table, you're going to place your design, and you're going to get yourself a piece of white paper, and you're going to make a copy or a tracing of this car design. Now, some of you can probably see through the white paper because I use a permanent marker, and I'm going to just trace this. For this, you can use a ruler. Again, I'm using a permanent marker, but you can use something else, like a pencil. And I'm just going to quickly trace the shape of the car. Like so. So now if I was to remove this, It should be the pattern of the shape of your car. Notice it doesn't have any wheels, does it? Just the shape of the car. So on this you would write your name, Mr. O, in whatever room you were coming from, and I would write pattern on this, and probably even the date, wouldn't hurt. You might even put your room number from. Tech Ed is room 28. In case it falls out, we can get it back to you. And you would take a pair of scissors on my desk or on Mr. Gangler's desk or whatever, and you would cut out the shape of this car. And this shape of the car will be used to trace onto the block of wood. When you're done with this pattern, this has got to be stapled onto this drawing. You have to hang on to this. This is part of the materials that you need in your portfolio. So, I've showed you how to make a pattern today. I've showed you how to use the drawing tools. Now you just need to apply that knowledge. Remember, it's your first time drawing. Don't do anything too hard. Make straight lines, sharp pencil, a good eraser, and you'll succeed at what you're doing. Hopefully you'll have a good time, and this will be something that you can use the rest of your life. With that being said, I hope that you enjoyed the demonstration today. And if you have any questions, you can see Mr. Willett or Mr. Gangler, or you can look at the eyeglass safety cabinet where some of these are taped up so that you may look at them. Thank you.